So for those of you who have been watching this, you'll have seen all the ways that we drop wires. We solder drops to the bottom of track and bring it through. We install a track and then solder to the side and bring it through. And what we end up with is these feeder wires on the bottom. So we now have to connect them up to a bus. This is one that was pre-strung that I have with Anderson Powerpole connectors on the end. And we need to string it under the table, but because this gets transported all the time, we have to make sure that these are adhered to the bottom and aren't dangling down. And we have these little clips that we put in, and the little clips look like this. So you can see there's a screw hole that screws in, and then on the end you can see where there's a spot there on this side and one on the opposite side where a zip tie can come through and hold that cord down. So to put these in, all we do is grab a screw, and these are, I guess, about 1/2 inch. So screw just goes through there, and because this is 1/4 inch plywood, and under the plywood is 1 inch of foam before we hit the track, we have lots of room. So I put one up in here, I got one in here, I got one in here. I know the bus is going to come down, it's going to come across through here, so I want to put one in about this spot here. I'm just going to eyeball it in, that's all we really have to do. Hold the top and some pressure pellet lights and hold it in position. Use the drill to drill it through. Now we're going to need another one on here. So grab a screw, grab another one of these. This is going to go through. I'm going to drill a couple of holes in this beam, and then this one just goes in here. There we go. Now these are going to get routed over to somewhere in this area, but until I'm ready to do all that routing in, I'm not going to attach more of those. Next up, we're ready to put this one in, and these Anderson power poles are interesting because you can lock them together, and the way they're locked together, the way these are locked together, they can only fit into a specific bus, and so the other bus just mates perfectly onto there. Let's bring this over and show you what that looks like. Okay, there you see the two connectors coming from here. So this is the inner line, this is the outer line. And the way these are set up, when you look at them at the end, you can see fat piece, skinny piece, fat piece. So these are arranged differently. When I go back and grab this cable that I was using, it only fits, you can see, into this guy. So those will join together like that. If I try and put it on the others, they're the same. They don't fit. Now, of course, if I look at the other end would fit. So that's the way these are designed. So that way, once I have the buses on the other side, I can only plug into one. That'll ensure that the inner bus stays the inner bus and the outer stays the outer. Now back to overall. And lots of wire dangling around here, so we'll just keep that on there. Now this, okay, I'm going to go over and double test again, just to make sure, because I don't want to confuse this thing. This is an outer, okay, that connects to outer. Let me double check, yep, that connects to outer. Do either of these look any better? Those look basically the same. Okay, last check, make sure it's outer. And it fits in outer. Okay, so this is going to get tied in like that. In order to do that, put it there so I don't drop it. So the blade needs to move in so I have room. Now we grab some zip ties. So I want this to extend about a foot. About like that. So we'll throw this guy here. Slip it through. Double check, make sure we got that. Yeah, foot coming down. That goes there. That tie goes up there. Pull it tight. That's good. Now go get some implements for our. Use the blue ones for now. And all I want to do is tie this guy in. Okay, outside. Make sure there's room in there for this to fold up. Let's fold them in there. Okay, yeah, there's lots of room there. Good. So we'll just hand tighten that. As much as you need to do. Snip this off. Now before we do this one, I'm going to take this track and tie it in here. So that'll go like that. It's an outer loop, it'll go in there. Well, I thought I was filming all that, but I apparently wasn't. What I did is I took this long cable that was here and I cut it in half. And I clipped these ties and I redid this only sticking out 6 inches. And when I do that, this will go to where it needs to go, right over here. And once it's there, these guys will we're gonna just solder them on and connect them on, because they need to hang down for the intertable connector that we have there. And the nut of it is I've managed to take this and make it do for the original cable for both loops. What I am double checking is this is the outer. I'm just going to check this arrangement here to make sure that it fits on the inner over here, and I'm quite sure it does. Yep, it does. So that means not only did I repurpose this, but I didn't have to figure out how to put these guys on because I haven't figured that out yet. And there's a couple of old wires dangling. We'll just get rid of those because they're in the wrong spot. Okay. And then the only thing I need to do is just put a little electrical tape on there. Because while they may be, may have cut the wires, there's still, I can see a little piece of copper. A little piece of copper means somebody sometime could do something like so. Wrap up red electrical tape, make sure that never happens. And a wrap of black. Similarly, make sure it doesn't happen on here. And I'll do the same thing on this other one. There's a black one here. And the red. Yeah, I bought red electrical tape as well, just cause I could, more than anything else. Okay, let's get that. Put that aside for later. Next thing we're going to need to do is solder that in. To do that, we need to get the solder iron. What we're going to want to do is bring this through here, so right about here, I want to bare the wire. This is 12 gauge. And about there, okay. Put it in the 12 mark, and there we go. Do the same thing here. Put it in the 12 mark. There we go. Now, need to get our wire strippers. Okay, so that's going to lay in there. That's going to go about there. And I want about that much wire, so we'll cut it off there. And we're going to bare that much wire. I'll make this the same length. Cut. And we take off, I can measure it, it's 1.25 inches. So I bare 1.25 inches, that will wrap around this gap that I've created. How wide is that gap? Yeah, gap's 1/4 inch. So I have 1/4 inch of bare wire from my bus and 1.25 inches of solid. My bus is stranded wire, by the way. I do need to get a pair of pliers still. That last piece of wire, to get it wrapped around, I need a pair of pliers just to run it around. Otherwise it sticks out a bit. If that wire sticks out, you run the risk of it poking through whatever insulation you're going to put on. So yeah, you need a bunch of tools in here. Yep, that feels good. Okay, so I don't need any of those guys for right now. What I do need is I just use a toothpick to spread some flux around. And you can use anything, but toothpicks are ultra cheap, disposable if you want to dispose of them at some point. Got some fluff on there. Now, check to make sure it's hot enough. Yep, more than hot enough. Make sure the tip's good and clean. Grab my solder. I thought I brought solder. Well, maybe not. Go get my solder. Certainly have multiples. Oh, I know the spool I'm going to use. It's not really a spool, it's some solder I got in the kit, and it's quite thick. And I think it'll be perfect for this. Apply heat. Apply solder. Keep heat going. And apply heat on the other side. And watch till the solder flows. There we go. Now for this one, I'm going to come back at it from the other side so I don't hurt the insulation on the red. Apply solder. And pretty soon the solder starts to flow and it heats up enough that I can apply solder from the opposite side, which is what I want to be able to do. We end up with a bit of a solder blob in there, but that's okay. Clean the soldering iron. And the final step, 99% isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush. There you go. Grab a rag, clean that off. Don't burn yourself. Okay, now we'll start with red electrical tape. And it's going to go like that. So we're going to start with some red electrical tape on the main bus. We'll wrap it around. Then press the wire there. And now just wrap it around. Cover the joint completely. Now you may have noticed these are slightly offset. It's just another precaution. If any rubbing causes it to wear through, This can't contact the, where I've done the solder joint there. I figure the more safety precautions I take, the less likely it is that I'm going to have any kind of issue. So again, this goes like this. The wire goes like that. It goes around, holds the wire in place, and then completely covers up the solder joint. Okay. Now next up I want to take this wire and put it through here. In order to do that, I have a next size up from a quarter. I'm just going to drill a hole in line here. Okay, make sure that's the right size hole. Not big enough to get two through. Just is. Okay now. Now if we put that like that, and that like that, and that like that, and that like that, it goes right where I want it to. Okay, so we'll put that back to there a bit. Yeah, that's good. So my green tag, well it's actually blue, goes through here. Now the other step that's certainly optional I have a stapler with a wire piece in it, specifically with a thing for doing wire. And did I run out of staples? Grr. No, they just didn't feed that time. Try again. There it is. And there it is. Okay, so that guy won't move. Now, that's going to come right along there with another one of these blue twist ties.